Ladies and gentlemen, we're expecting some moderate turbulence.
Please remain seated and enjoy the show. Hello,
And welcome to
Moderate Turbulence.
I'm Jeremy.
I'm Adele.
Hello,
and of
Adele.
course, we have Roxy.
Hello, our little floofball Roxy. How are you, Adele?
I'm good, Jeremy.
She's a little annoyed because I missed a button when we recorded. And so we recorded half the podcast already and it didn't record. So take two. Here we go. Still smiling. Lots to talk about today. So first of all, we apologize. It's been a couple weeks since we've recorded. That's just due to our hectic schedules. Of course, Adele and I are bidding opposite schedules because of this little fluff ball, so that we can make sure someone's always around for her. And even there's some days when it overlaps. And so we have wonderful friends of the podcast who help us out and take care of Roxy for us. Yeah, we're going to talk about a few things today. We're going to talk about summer schedules, highs and lows, all fun things like that. You want to do highs and lows first?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, my high, one of the highs recently, just been flying with friends or great crew, because I've been, maybe a little complainy lately about some of the crew members that I've had. So I've had a little bit of a dark cloud over every pairing, just kind of going into it, worried, scared about if I'm going to fly with competent people or non-competent people.
I get it. Yeah. But you've been flying with, you flew with Alberto, right? So
I had a pairing with Alberto again. This time a Vegas layover. So we had a long Vegas and we just had a fun time. The other two crew members that were with us were great. So it was, a good working environment where we can have fun, but we got stuff done and it was just pleasant. So
excellent.
That was fun.
I have a question for you about it. Is it true you tried Shake Shack for the first time?
Yes, I ordered it on DoorDash probably. And of course, quite expensive with it being American dollars and everything. But it was delicious because they have vegetarian options at Shake Shack, if you didn't know, versus In-N-Out that don't. So boo In-N-Out.
I still like In-N-Out. I've still never tried Shake Shack. So next time I have a layover in Vegas, I might have to do the same thing just to try it.
Or you can get it any other places in Vegas, because then you can actually go to a Shake Shack and not have to pay exorbitant fees of delivery.
True. Next time I'll see it. No, I don't think they have any in Nebraska next time I visit my sister. We'll see.
I don't know.
Excellent. Do you have a low for the last little bit?
Well, it's just been rough. There's been a lot of cancellations, delays, and everything. So I had a 16-hour day. I don't think we've recorded since then, have we?
No. That was a long day you had. Yeah.
Yeah. So we started our day, and this was like day 2. So not too bad. Leaving Vancouver at 7 a.m., flying to Toronto, getting into Toronto. And then that plane we were supposed to take back to Calgary. However, the aircraft went mechanical, so there was too many issues with it, so it wasn't safe to fly it. So then proceeded a 4-hour wait in the airport, kind of wondering what we were doing, which aircraft we would fly home. Would we fly home that day? Keep in mind, we'd already done about a
4.5, close to 5-hour flight.
Yeah, from Vancouver. And then we were supposed to do another close to 4-hour flight back home with a 4-hour wait in Toronto. So all of that ended up being over a 16-hour duty day and just a very tiring long day. But it got saved because that was a pairing with Alberto. Our other crew members were really great, really fun, just had a positive attitude. So we all just kind of got through it because we were together and we all kind of were getting along and had the same mindset going into it. So that just saved the day. But if I was with other crew members that maybe weren't as positive or maybe not as hardworking, it would have been a lot more rough.
Yeah. Oh, no, for sure. Yeah, definitely having friends or good, competent flight attendants with you is always a positive. It makes, I would rather have bad flights with good crew than good flights with bad crew.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you do want the nice flights or the nice layovers, but when you do them with bad crew, holy moly, is it rough.
Yeah, for sure. So for me, my low is probably I have a bad knee. It's from a car accident 31 years ago, and it just progressively gets worse and worse as the years go on. And then the day I was leaving for London, it kind of popped on me, and I was like, oh, there's a new pain. I haven't felt that one before. Again, 30 years plus of dealing with this, and that was a new pain. So I was like, okay. So I wore my knee brace for that flight, and my knee hasn't been amazing since. We went to the doctor. The doctor prescribed X-rays. I went and got the X-rays. They came back. The doctor's like, well, nothing's broken, because that's all they can really see. It's like, so we're going to recommend physio. I'm like, yes, what I always get recommended whenever I have issues with my knee. So my low is definitely going to be working with a bum knee, and I have a little bit of a limp, and I'm trying to do my best to take care of it, but it's not fun, and it's something that I've had to deal with for so long. Now my high, again, so bum knee, had to go to London. And then, of course, looking at my crew, and Alberto actually sent me a message saying, hey, it looks like you have someone who's brand new who's on your crew. They've never flown before. And they had posted a message with a question on Facebook saying, hey, I know some of the rules are a little different in London. Could someone give me a bit of insight? And so when Alberto sent that to me, I actually sent her a message on Facebook saying, hey, here's the deal with London, liquid restrictions, things like that. And also just beware. I heard your in charge is a little bit on the mean side. And she's like, oh, no. And I was like, I'm just kidding. I'm going to be your in charge for that one. So we'll have some fun. And for a crew member who it was their first flight ever going to London, which is great. She was so hardworking. She was on the ball. She didn't miss a beat. She worked as if she was a veteran flight attendant. And I know from experience, a lot of people sort of get weary when you have a brand new flight attendant. They're like, oh no, we're going to have to pull extra weight because they don't know what they're doing. But she knew exactly what she was doing. Nobody had to work extra. She pulled her own weight. It was a great experience with a brand new flight attendant. And to all of the experienced flight attendants out there, I just want to remind you, you were new once. You had a first flight once. I know I was a mess on my first flight, and what do I do? But you kind of get through it, and now I'm one of the more experienced ones. But it was a great experience having a brand new flight attendant who was just awesome. I would work with her anytime. Good timing.
Yeah, and you were really happy about her and her attitude. So it also shows there's kind of no excuse to be bad at this. It's easy work. You just have to show up and be ready to put in the effort. And when everyone works, it makes the job so much better. Mm-hmm. So when, I've been complaining about some crew, it's just well, you have this new person who's able to work, and then you have these others that don't want to.
It's not a being able to, it's a wanting to. Yeah.
So it's just frustrating, but hopefully I get to fly with her at some point as well, because it sounds like it's a pleasant experience.
Yes, absolutely. So that would be my highs and lows. Now we were going to get into a little bit of talking about summer flying. Now, for example, today is Monday. I flew yesterday coming in from Montreal, and due to summer flying, if you have little delays here and there, they tend to snowball. So my flight was, the aircraft was delayed coming from London to Montreal. So then I was delayed coming from Montreal to Calgary, and it just pushes everything back. I was supposed to beat Adele home and go pick up Roxy. Adele ended up beating me home. So you got to pick up Roxy and all that. So I'm just going to get into summer flying a little bit. Now I'm going to backtrack and talk about last year's summer flying. Now, Adele and I were very fortunate. We were working in training at the time, teaching some of our new hires, and we didn't get to experience all that was summer flying. Now, last year, remember, this was the first year after COVID that people were traveling again. There was a lot more leisure travel. People wanted to travel. They wanted to get out, see friends, family, go on vacations. And so it was a very busy summer. The problem was airlines in general. I'm not saying just our airline. I just mean worldwide airlines were not ramped up after COVID yet. A lot of employees had gone on to seek new opportunities, took retirement, things like that. So we had to build back our workforces. That's why we were teaching initial training all of last year. So last year, there was a lot of delays, a lot of flight cancellations, and that was due to, again, the bare bone employee sets that we had in all different divisions, not just pilots, flight attendants, and agents, but all over the airlines. Aircraft themselves as well. We retired certain aircrafts, and then now we had to try and acquire new aircraft to try and fill those voids. One of the big issues last year as well in Toronto was customs. They were metering the aircrafts coming in because the customs interactions were taking a lot longer. First of all, you had to fill out the ArriveCan app, fill out the questionnaire there. Secondly, when you would go to the customs agent, the average time of interaction was about 60 seconds because of the extra COVID questions and things like that, vaccinations, all of that fun stuff. Now, a normal interaction when you go through customs is about 15 seconds. So these interactions are now taking 4 times as long. So now you're going to get only 1/4 the passengers through that you would normally get. So when you get all these wide body aircraft landing in Toronto, instead of everyone filtering through customs normally, you have to have them wait on their aircraft until it's their turn to go into the customs hall and do all that. So it was not uncommon for people to wait up to 4+ hours on an aircraft after landing in Toronto. Hopefully, we're not going to see much of that this year. I believe they've mitigated a good chunk of that, but there's still a lot of... it's not going to be a perfect summer. It'll be better than last year, though. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely hopeful for that because we heard stories, even though we weren't flying. Mm-hmm. We definitely heard stories. Our colleagues were flying. Our friends were flying. So we got all of what was happening. Mm-hmm. And it was a little scary, definitely, and frustrating and just overall hectic. But everyone's we might be at our regular capacity of employment or getting close to it.
Yeah.
In different departments. Yeah. But, pilots, flight attendants, we need them on board. However, we do need all the other departments there too. We need grooming, we need catering, we need ramp agents, we need our maintenance personnel, we need planning, we need stock.
Scheduling, stock.
We need everyone. We can, of course, need our airport agents, and that's just the airline specific, right? And all airlines need that. And then we need security. So CATSA, we need ATC. So we have all of these departments, all these different companies, different things happening. And then pre-COVID, we're almost close to the same amount of personnel for each of these departments or each of these different companies that work in an airport. However, all of them hired new staff. All of them hired new employees. So a lot of these people are new to the job or don't have as much experience. Mm-hmm. So you might have the personnel is at the same quantity, but the experience level isn't there. So that's also, I don't want to say issue, but it's also a reason why there's maybe some more delays or some longer waits at certain points throughout your travel.
An extra challenge to deal with. Yeah. There's just,
Yeah. And we've all been new at a sport or an activity or a job or something at some point. So we all should know what it feels like Jeremie mentioned before, but we sometimes forget or sometimes lose patience as, fellow colleagues or as a customer, whatever. So just something to keep in mind as well as you're going through travel or as we're working this summer. But, it's kind of we say that, but then when you're in this situation, everything just kind of snowballs or piles up at some point. So we all have our breaking point as well. But other things, I have a whole list of things that have happened recently.
Goodness, you wrote a list. You actually wrote a list. That's amazing.
So kind of just the things that have happened recently, and I mean recently the past 2-3 weeks, just because it's been a while since we've recorded. Mm-hmm. So did I mention the 16-hour day?
Yes.
On this time?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So of course, bad, long day, good, great crew. And actually the passengers were really good that day. Oh, so good. They were the flight leaving Toronto that finally left maybe 4 hours late back to Calgary. The passengers, of course, were tired because landing in Toronto, people come from everywhere and then they kind of branch off at different areas. So people probably traveled very, very long times, probably from the previous day. And then they end up having to wait another 4 hours for their other flight.
Yeah. But
they were all fantastic. We all had the good attitude of, hey, crew, passengers were all going home. So we're all thankful at this point that we're, on our way finally.
Yeah.
I had an experience, unfortunately, with some not so friendly pilots. So that was really frustrating. Most of the time, I would say 95% of the time, I fly with some great crew members up in the flight deck. But this instance really just frustrated me. Their attitude, their comments just was not good. And it was just kind of shocked me and really made it unpleasant because as the in charge, we're the ones kind of dealing with the pilots mostly. And I really didn't want to.
Yeah, we strive for positive interactions all the time, right? Like, yeah, for the most part, I get along great with the pilots. I even had one of my pilots the other day who said, this was a great crew. Everyone has a great positive attitude. Everyone came to work professional, and, it was great interactions amongst the cabin crew and the front end, the pilots.
Roxy, okay? Sorry, if you hear her breathing, well, I think she's a bit warm right now. Also, it wasn't that same 16-hour day. No, it was a following pairing. Unfortunately, a woman in the Toronto airport was seemingly having a medical emergency. She was traveling, thankfully, with her partner and her kid. So they alerted us, the flight attendants who were sitting close by, and we were able to alert medical personnel to come and aid her. So we kind of stayed close to her until they were able to arrive. So that was another situation that happened and can become more common as more passengers and more delays and more things just are going on this summer. So just keep that in mind. Be patient. You never know what people are going through.
Yep.
And also, as a passenger, just be prepared yourself. If you have pre-existing medical issues or whatever, just try to be as prepared as possible because you can never be too prepared for something, but you can definitely be underprepared. So just keep that in mind. Be hydrated. Have a snack. Just maybe have, Advil on you if you get headaches or whatever the situation is. Just make sure you're prepared. So you don't have to hopefully miss a flight home because I'm not blaming this woman. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just saying these things happen right now and there's going to be more and more issues going into the summer. So just, be careful out there.
Do what you can to mitigate the issues. Yeah. Like you said, stay hydrated, keep snacks on hand, things like that. Yeah.
Another thing I've dealt with, and it's a first world problem, but it's really frustrating as crew members because if you've ever stayed at a hotel as a regular, customer of their hotel, you have a check-in time, usually between 3 and 5 p.m. for most hotels. And then you check out usually between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. the following day. That's just standard hotel rules.
Yep.
Even Airbnbs have kind of implemented the same procedures. But for crew members, sometimes you check in at, let's say, 9 a.m. and then you check out that evening, or times just kind of aren't those regular check-in and check-out times just because flights arrive and depart at different times and of course delays and all of that. So one thing that has been happening, and I'm sure it doesn't just happen to me, but it's been happening a lot lately at different hotels, Canada, US, is my room keys just deactivating during my layover. So if I leave my room and go to the gym, or I'm going to grab some food, or whatever the situation is, and I come back to my room and my key doesn't work. So then I have to go back down to the lobby and get it reactivated. And one hotel, it actually happened 3 times during the layover that the key didn't work and I had to go back down. So just a frustrating thing that's been happening, and kind of the reality of our job right now is that's one of the issues that we can have, not a huge deal, but frustrating. And you kind of don't want to leave your room because you don't know if you're going to be able to go back in.
Or if you're going to have to go back up and then back down, then back up. And again, that can probably tie into what we talked about earlier about new staff members. I bet hotels have new staff members as well, and they might not program the keys correctly so that they stay for the length of the layover. Or sometimes it even happens where, for me yesterday, my layover was then extended for a couple hours because there was a flight delay. So yeah, we definitely don't have the check in at 3, check out at 11 times at all. I've checked in at all hours of the day, 24 hours of the day. I've been checking in and checking out. I've checked out at night. I've checked out at 6 a.m. I've checked out at 4 a.m. As crew members, we go by when the flights go, and it's sort of an agreement that they have with the hotels. Yeah, so I bet you it does tie into newer staff members as well at the hotel. So
maybe, yeah. Or also like new hotels, because, different destinations popping up. Some hotels aren't used to us staying there as well. So they're not up to snuff with certain procedures or like certain ways to activate keys or whatever the situation. Either way, It's been frustrating because it's happened so many times in the past 2 months. And doesn't make me want to leave my room on a layover because I'm just like, well, I'm going to have to jump through hoops to get it done.
Yep.
A lot of issues with bags. So many issues with bags. I mean, that's just kind of the name of the game. Yeah. Nobody wants to check in their luggage. Everyone just brings so much carry-on. Understandable as a passenger point of view. They don't want to wait for baggage. They don't want to possibly lose their baggage. They don't want to maybe pay for a check-in baggage if the airline actually charges for it. Mm-hmm. So understandable. But then as airline staff, we do have a lot to do when it comes to rearranging on board or checking bags at the gate if you're a gate agent, all these things. So, keep that in mind, of course, as you're traveling. I don't know how many people are going to actually, pack light or whatever, but
and don't be afraid as a passenger to use the space under your seat. When I travel, I bring 2 bags. I've got my rolly bag, and then I've got a backpack that has my computer and my podcast stuff. And my backpack always goes under the seat in front of me, and then the rolly bag will go up top, if possible. I've had it recently where I was coming back from Toronto to Calgary as a passenger, and I was like, nope, take my bag, check my bag, it's all good. Like, I understand just the way it was working out that I wasn't going to be able to bring that bag on board as well. So it worked out for me.
So this actually happened to me. So frustrating baggage issue. This one passenger, she was probably one of the last people to board. I don't know, by choice or whatever. She was maybe one of the last 5 passengers to board, of course, a full flight. And we almost didn't have space for her bag on board. And I was starting to go through the questions of, hey, do you have any lithium ion batteries? Do you have any like passports or anything in your bag that you would need, or any, the things that we have to ask them. And then she proceeds to say, well, I need the space above my seat, because that's where she assumed her bag needed to be, because other passengers had already put their bags there. And she said, well, if I can't find space, I'm going to start throwing other people's bags. Literally said that. So I'm like, oh my goodness, this woman is crazy. We're going to have to deal with this, deranged person.
So you're telling me you don't have assigned space above your seat for your own bag? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah. So, it's like, I'm telling my crews now when I'm doing my pre-flight briefings that every flight just gets weirder. Every flight, there's just kind of something new. And that was a new thing for me. I've never had someone threaten to throw other people's bags out, but I'm not surprised anymore, because that's the kind of people that fly right now. So it's just like, whoa, this is crazy. Mm-hmm. Thankfully, we were able to find space for her bag, and then she sat down and was fine. But also she was traveling with her like maybe tween daughter. So that was also like, what an example this woman is showing to her kid.
Because now how is your kid going to react in a few years when they're traveling alone and they expect the space above their seat to be reserved for them?
Or she just pull a hissy fit and get what she wants.
Yeah.
Which almost kind of is what happened, because she, was starting to threaten other people. And you may ask, why didn't we deplane her? It was a comment. We were we were almost done. We were able to find space for her bag. Like, it all happened within like 2 minutes. And then that was the only comment she made. We got space. She didn't touch any other people's belongings. She didn't do anything else but that. So we deemed it safe for her to be traveling. But honestly, if she had started doing any of the things that she threatened or continued to threaten, yes, she would have been removed. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that if you're wondering, that's not acceptable to do these things, but we do have certain thresholds, and also we
de-escalate as much as possible.
Yeah, and we also like analyze each situation differently. Like, anyways, so that's what happened. Other than that, I did finish Drowning by TJ Newman. Don't worry, I'm not going to give any spoilers or anything because Jeremy also hasn't read it yet.
Yeah.
It was amazing. That's all I'm going to say. Can't wait for you to read it so we can actually talk about it. And yeah,
I'll try and read it before the next podcast. And I have an incident that I'd like to do as well, like as part of our incidents. But yeah, we should try and read Drowning. And again, we'll try to avert any spoilers, but we'll talk about certain elements of the book as well. And again, we're big fans of TJ Newman, flight attendant turned best-selling author, which is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, that's my whole list, but I'm just kind of like updating you all again, just telling you where we've been, and we are still here. We are still recording. We're not giving up on Moderate Turbulence. It's just really busy. And of course, since we're not rarely, but not very often at home together, because how we bid our schedules, it's just the times that we can record is not that often. It's not every day that we can record. So, and sometimes things happen, like delays, like my 16-hour day. I was supposed to be home at 6. I ended up being home at midnight. Yesterday, you were supposed to be home at 4. You were home at 7:30, 8.
Yeah.
So, these things kind of impede our
podcasting abilities.
Yeah. And our energy overall. So please forgive us, but we're still here and we're still, going at it. Hopefully in the fall, we'll be back to weekly episodes, but for the summer we're gonna say every 2 weeks. If we can do more, we will. If not, expect 2 episodes a month for the next couple months.
as Adele said in the first try of this, we'll under promise and over deliver. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. So if you are out there, whether you're crew members, passengers, anytime you're flying on a flight, please be nice to your flight attendants.
Because they might have to save your butt one day.
Thank you, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye now.
Goodbye. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to rate and review wherever you listen to podcasts. We have new episodes every Wednesday. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Moderate Turbulence on Instagram, at Mod Turbulence on Twitter, and follow us individually on Instagram at HuffyJ and at La Delvie. Thank you.